W, pole?
W stands for white, and pole is representing an individual. In North Carolina, what they did was they taxed adult white men. And that probably referred to George Brassfield himself as the owner of that property.
And the B pole?
B pole stands for black pole, women and men between the ages of 12 and 52.
So that would mean he had 10 slaves?
That's right, 10 slaves on his property.
Beloved as the queen of country, singer Reba McEntire is the best-selling female country music artist of all time. Reba's talents have taken her far beyond the world of music, most notably in her award-winning hit sitcom, Reeba. Reba and her husband Narvel Blackstock live in Nashville, Tennessee, where their son Shelby and Narvel's children Shauna, Brandon, and Chastity visit often. Reba credits her upbringing amongst the cowboys of Oklahoma for her success in the music industry.
I think one of the things that really helped me be prepared, as little as I was, for the music business was being in a man's world, not only in the ranching business, but the rodeo business. I was one of Daddy's hired hands, and what I got paid was room and board. I think that experience from the other worlds that I lived in did help me in the music business. I know I get my strength from Mama and Daddy. My mama is feisty. She is a hardworking woman. She is very strong. Going through all the research and writing my autobiography, I just learned a lot more about Daddy's side, and I don't know that much about Mama's side. I guess I just didn't ask enough questions. I want to know where we came from. I want to know what makes me tick. Why am I like I am? I would love to go back as far back as possible. I am very interested in knowing who the first of my ancestors were to step on the United States of America. Because I go to Europe and sometimes I don't feel welcome, and then I go to other parts and I feel like, man, this is home. Ireland, Scotland, but then England, I feel like, ooh, I feel a little on guard. I'm going to take this opportunity now to ask Mama about her side of the family. So I'll start this journey at my parents' ranch in Stringtown, Oklahoma. I'm hoping that Mama can tell me a little bit more about my grandmother, Reba Estelle Brassfield Smith, and maybe even her parents, who I don't know anything about.
Out of the way, big boys. I'm doing this for Mama. Mama went to Nashville for me, to help me get in the music business. Now, I've got something that I can give back to Mama. I like that. Hey, Mama. How you doing today?
Real good.
Love you.
Love you too, sweetheart.
I got some stuff to go over with you. You know, growing up with Daddy being a world champion steer roper and the McEntire name and everything, I, for some reason, always knew more about Daddy's side of the family than I did about your side of the family. This is really interesting to me, taking this journey to find out more about Reba Estelle Brassfield Smith, your mama, my namesake.
This is you and your namesake, Reba.
What did she think about you naming me after her?
Oh, she was pleased.
Did she like that?
Mm-hmm. She loved you kids, loved all of you. I named all of you after grandparents.
Yeah.
This is an old picture. I'm so glad that we have this.
Yeah, because I've never seen this picture before.
This is my grandma, Susie. This is B.W.
So is this Grandma Reba?
Mm-hmm. Evidently, she's tired because she
Sounds
it
asleep.
looks like she's asleep. She was a very strong woman. But he is most handsome, B.W.
Do you know why he died?
He had TB. They built him a store to make a living because he couldn't do hard physical work.
Where was it?
Monroe County.
In Mississippi?
Uh-huh.
Were they wealthy?
may have been, but I just don't know much about them.
Well then, Mama, let's see if we can find some clues about the Brassfields online.
Have a little thing called ancestry.com that we can look at here. It's really cool. All right, we're gonna do a general search here, and we're going to look for Reba Brassfield lived in, and the location here is Monroe County, Mississippi. Search. All results for Reba Estelle Brassfield. 13th Census of the United States, 1910 population. There's Reba, age 6, and Susie, her mom. So here it says head of the household, white, 39 years old, and, oh, widowed.
So B.W. must have died not long after that family photo was taken.
Let's go back to the 1900 census and try to find
B.W.
Let's try to find him. All right, all results for B.W. Brassfield. So here's a bunch of them. A lot of them in Mississippi. J.G., John B., Sally, Betty, He's not here.
You just have to go down there and look.
To Monroe County, Mississippi? All right, I'll go find out for us, all right?
Bring back all the information you can.
I'll do it.
I was really excited about coming back here to Stringtown, Oklahoma to see my mama, get to hug her neck. And she told me that B.W. Brassfield is my great-grandfather. I didn't know that. I didn't know his name. I hit a bit of a dead end in my online search, so I'm heading to the city of Aberdeen in Monroe County, Mississippi, to see what I can find in the local records. I'm going to meet with a genealogist at the Evans Memorial Library, but before he arrives, I want to see what I can find out on my own. I'm starting my search for B.W. Brassfield in the early 1900s obituaries.
Oh, all right, Mr. Brassfield, where are you? Hey, B. Brassfield, B-R-A. Joseph. Miss Betty Brassfield, but no B.W. And Jonas obituaries. Not in here.
Reba McEntire is in Monroe County, Mississippi, looking for her great-grandfather, B.W. Brassfield. She's hit a dead end after searching the census and obituaries.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
I'm Reba.
I'm Josh Taylor.
Hey, Josh.
Now, Reba is hoping genealogist Josh Taylor's investigation into the Brassfields has been more successful.
I went to see my mother,
Okay.
and she was telling me about my great-grandfather, B.W. Brassfield.
Okay.
So I came down here and looked in the obituaries, and he's not in the obituaries.
All right. Well, I will tell you that I did find BW. It took a little bit of work. In fact, that's a lie. It took a lot of work. It's difficult research.
Yeah.
But I do have something for you
Oh, good.
that
I love
might
gifts.
hold some answers.
Okay. Wow, you have been doing some work. That is incredible. So Reba, that's my grandmother, was born 1903. B.W. died September 12th in 1906 in Monroe County, Mississippi. But we didn't find him in the obituaries.
We know B.W. Brassfield was a farmer,
Uh-huh.
so his family probably couldn't afford an obituary. And one thing you'll notice with the Brassfields here, you spell it with 2 S's, and B.W. spelled it differently.
Uh-huh.
When people were writing names, they probably didn't write them themselves, so they relied on someone else to actually spell the name. You might find it with 1 ish, you might find it with 2 S's, it just depends. As you go along in your research, you have to, keep that in mind.
This tree goes all the way back to my 4 times great-grandfather, George Brassfield.
See, I wasn't expecting this. I was expecting, B.W. and then 1 back. And here you've given me 3 more back. This is a lot to comprehend right now for me. George Brassfield, born at about 1765 in Wake County, North Carolina.
He also was born before the American Revolution, so he would have been a child when independence was declared.
Wow.
And would have grown up during the War of Independence.
Wow. So George Brassfield was Wake County, North Carolina. You can't really pinpoint a town, can
Well,
you?
what I can pinpoint is that there were some very interesting things happening in Wake County about this time period, and you really ought to visit.
That's my next stop, huh?
I would recommend it.
Yeah, okay, good. I feel really tickled about knowing who my 4 times great-grandfather is, George Brassfield. That's incredible. I'm the first one in my family to know that. What brought him to North Carolina? Was he a prominent man in society? Was he well thought of, or was he a scoundrel? That's the kind of stuff I want to look into and see what they thought about him. So I'm taking my search to Raleigh, the state capital, in Wake County, North Carolina. I'm going to meet historian Bill Oddie at the State Archives to find out what was going on in this area when George Brassfield lived here. Thank you very much for meeting me here. I have come over to try to find out more about my 4 times great-grandfather, George Brassfield. He was born in Wake County in 1765. You know, that was before we gained our independence.
It was a time when this area was just being settled. If we jump ahead a little bit to when he was a young man in North Carolina, they decided to build the state capital in Wake County. There was no Raleigh here at all, and they were going to carve it out of farmland. Why don't we look at this?
Okay.
Here's the plan of the city of Raleigh, 1817. So here you can see the State House, or the Capitol there. They have this grand street. One of the things that's interesting here, you see the governor's palace.
Oh, governor got a palace there. Wow, uptown. I'm looking for old George. Oh, ta-da-da. There he is, George Brassfield, lot number 15. What was on this land?
Let's move to the land records. So the records are contained in this book. It's dated quite a bit later, 1846 to 1849.
So, oh, it's kind of falling apart here just a little bit. Wow, incredible.
This document comes to us from a period about 20 years after George Brassfield, your 4-time great-grandfather, had died. But it talks about the property that he had in the town of Raleigh.
Okay, state of North Carolina. Boy, a lot of description here. Okay, here's known as Brassfield Old Tavern Lot. So he owned a bar.
That's right.
No wonder I'm so comfortable singing in honky tonks all the time. That's hysterical. So he must have had a little bit of money, been kind of well off to own a business like that. Did he have any other properties?
The best place to look for that is in the tax records.
Okay. Wake County tax lists, 1781 to 1860. So, whoa, these are delicate looking. 1803, no Brassfield. So it jumps to 1910. A list of the taxables and taxable property in Lick Creek District. You gotta love that. 1810. There it is. George Brassfield, Esquire. Land, 1,615 acres.
That's right.
And 3/4. So that's land. What do these take care of? W, pole?
W stands for white, and pole is representing an individual. In North Carolina, what they did was they taxed adult white men. And that probably referred to George Brassfield himself as the owner of that property.
And the B pole?
B pole stands for black pole, women and men between the ages of 12 and 52.
So that would mean he had 10 slaves.
That's right, 10 slaves on his property.
Reba McEntire is in Raleigh, North Carolina, where she just found out her 4 times great-grandfather, George Brassfield, was a respected land and business owner. But George also owned 10 slaves.
You know, that's such a wild thinking nowadays of owning a person. And I would like to know, did he treat them well? Was he a fair plantation owner? Is there any way I can find that out?
Well, we can't find it out from this particular document. But if you go to the Granville County Courthouse in Oxford, they have additional records on the slaves, and I think you'll be able to find out more there.
Okay.
Today, I've learned that my 4 times great-grandfather, George Brassfield, was a slave owner. You know, you read it in the history books and you see it in movies and television shows, but to know that your ancestors were slave owners, it does put it in a different perspective. I'm heading to the Granville County Courthouse, 40 miles north of here, which holds slave records for the region where George Brassfield lived. I'm hoping to find some kind of documentation that will help me understand my 4 times great-grandfather's role as a slave owner. So I'm meeting with North Carolina historian Harry Watson, who has been looking into this for me.
One of the first places to start will actually be in newspapers. We can look for George right here on the computer.
No kidding.
Masters took out ads in the paper about slaves a lot.
I'm gonna put in Brassfield and George. George Brassfield,
Bingo.
North Carolina.
North Carolina, 1820.
Notice, on the night of the 5th, came a traveling black man and took up for the night in one of my Negro houses. After my having notice of it, I took him under examination and he called himself Willie Tripp. The matter seemed somewhat suspicious, but in the morning he was gone, and induces me to believe him a runaway slave. Willie Tripp was evidently a runaway slave trying to get to freedom.
Yeah. And George Brassfield tried to stop it.
Did he get away?
We don't know.
Hope he did.
We don't know. Yeah. We have, it turns out, some records about George Brassfield and his slaves that come from different courthouses. This one is from Wake County. It's a bill of sale.
Sold and delivered unto the said George Brassfield, one certain Negro man known by the name of Davy, about 26 years of age. So he's bought a slave.
Yes, he has.
George Brassfield selling something to Benjamin Hobson, a girl by the name of Rachel, about 20 years of age, with her increase, her baby? A child?
That means all the babies she will ever have.
Wow. Sum of $300 silver dollars.
So
$300.
$300.
Well, he's a slave trader.
He is.
George is selling Peter,
Mm-hmm.
now about 3 years old. Selling him a 3-year-old kid?
Yeah.
How do you sell a child? Why would you sell a child? You don't have an idea of why? Okay.
There's one more document, which is the record of deeds.
Okay, looks like for the sum of 20 pounds, Virginia money, paid by George Brassfield, one certain Negro girl by the name of Amy, now about 14 months of age. Really? 14-month-old baby. That's a year, 2 months. Wow. Whew, that's pretty sobering.
What it shows is that slavery wasn't this weird thing tucked over in the corner that all the rest of us didn't have anything to do with. It's right in our pasts. All the white people were the ancestors that go back that far. It's something that we have to talk about, and you can't have healing without acknowledgement.
Absolutely. When I found out that my 4 times great-grandfather was trading children, it broke my heart. To be taken away from your parents, from your home, and just
there you go, you're at another place. To know that that mama never will see that baby again, or that little boy will never see his mama and daddy again. That broke my heart. That little time machine would sure come in handy to be able to say, George, what was going on? Why'd you do this? I'd love to know. But I found out all I can about George Brassfield. When I started my search, I wanted to know who the first person was in Mama's family to step foot on American soil. To find out, Harry recommended I go to Tappahannock, Virginia, to see a colleague of his, Warren Hofstra. He's been looking into my family's history for me, so I'm meeting him at the Essex County Courthouse.
I have found out quite a bit about my 4 times great-grandfather, George Brassfield. And I wanted to know who were the first of my ancestors to come to North America.
The name Brassfield is a very unique name, and that helps us a great deal. We can confirm that your 6th time great-grandfather was also George Brassfield.
Wow.
We can go that much farther back.
Lots of Georges in there.
Lots of Georges.
Warren has traced my mother's family line back 2 more generations to another George Brassfield. And Warren says he has a land deed from 1721 that can tell me a little bit more about who my 6 times great-grandfather was.
That is beautiful. This indenture, made this 16th day of May in the year of our Lord 1721, between Richard Carver and George Brassfield for 1,500 pounds of tobacco. That's a lot of tobacco. What do you get out of all that? 300 acres. It's a good parcel of land.
So with this purchase of land, George Brassfield became a landowner in early Virginia.
Yeah, so early on into the beginning of the United States. So where did he get his money? Was his family wealthy? Did he inherit a lot of money?
He worked for it.
Okay.
I think we have a document to help us understand much better about his origins and how he came to the point where he could acquire enough land to become a substantial member of the community in Essex County. This is a book that records all of the decisions that the Court of Essex County made.
Orders 1695 to 1699, Essex County. Wow, 1600s. That's going back a ways. George Brassfield, servant boy to Mr. Bernard Gaines. Wow. Is adjudged 9 years of age and the same ordered to be recorded. So what, do we know why he was working for Mr. Gaines?
He was an indentured servant.
At 9 years old.
Reba McEntire is in Virginia, searching for the first person in her mother's family to come to America. Reba just learned her 6 times great-grandfather was an indentured servant at the age of 9.
Your 6th great-grandfather had signed a contract to pay for the expenses of coming to Virginia. And he had agreed to work for a certain term of years. Okay. That's what the indenture was.
In the early 1600s, Jamestown, Virginia was established as the first permanent English colony, and driven by the production of tobacco, it became the birthplace of indentured servitude. As the first American slaves, many indentured servants were young boys and girls, contracted to serve a set number of years, often until they turned 21, after which they would be awarded their independence. By the time George Brassfield arrived in the late 1600s, African slaves and indentured servants worked side by side in the tobacco fields in roughly equal numbers. Though servitude was clearly better than slavery, the work was brutal and living conditions were poor. Fewer than half of all indentured servants survived their contracts to become free citizens.
As a 9-year-old boy, under the terms of the indenture or the contract, he has to work until he is 21.
So what did he have to do? What was expected of a 9-year-old boy to pay off his debt?
Bernard Gaines owned land in Essex County, and he farmed that land, and he grew tobacco. So he would help with the planting of the tobacco, the cutting of the tobacco. This was hard life.
Hard work. I find this very interesting that my 6 times great-grandfather was an indentured servant. And then his grandson, my 4 times great-grandfather, owned slaves.
But there are important differences.
Yes, the indentured servant saw the light at the end of the tunnel of being free someday, and the slaves, they didn't have that hope.
They would serve their entire life.
Right.
And their children would serve in perpetuity.
But again, where did he come from? Why is he by himself, a 9-year-old boy? Where's his mom and dad?
Let's see what we can find out about George Brassfield.
So just type in his name. List of immigrants to America from Liverpool, 1697 to 1707. The names of the servants that goes to Virginia in the Loyalty, Captain Henry Brown, commander, October 19th, 1698.
The Loyalty is the name of the ship, and Henry Brown is the captain.
Captain, commander of the ship. Servants that goes to Virginia. There's George Brassfield. B-R-A-S-F-E-I-L-D. Good lands, they've changed it several times.
They did.
This says 11 years, but here we know he's 9.
Actually, what this means is that he has 11 years to serve. So this would suggest he was 10 years old.
Instead of 9, but the document says he's 9.
Sometimes, well, unscrupulous masters would shave a year off.
So he would work longer.
Work another year.
Wow.
See, there's 37 of them altogether.
And there's no other Brassfield on here. He came over here by himself.
It was a dangerous voyage. 3 or 4 months.
This bothers me. I don't know where his mama is. If he had a mama at that time. To send my son on a ship like that, I'd be kicking and screaming all the way to the dock. I don't get this. I don't understand it. And if she was there, my heart goes out to her too. Oh my gosh, this breaks my heart. For me to be living in the United States of America, he had to pay that price of coming over by himself with a bunch of other kids. Him being around the age of 9 years old, traveling on a ship 3 months from England to the shores of North America by himself. I just cannot imagine what he went through. And even though there was no hometown listed for young George on the passenger list, Warren pointed out that many of the kids who were on the boat with George were from Cheshire County. So I'm heading to Chester, England to look in the county records. After I found out that my 6 times great-grandfather was from England and that he was an indentured servant, does that explain why I feel so weird every time I go to England? I've got to find out what happened.
Reba McEntire is in Chester, England. She's just discovered that her 6 times great-grandfather, George Brassfield, was sent to the American colonies as an indentured servant when he was just a boy. She's come to the Cheshire County Records Office to meet with Brett Langston.
Well, Brett, I have come a long way to find out some more information on George Brassfield.
Brassfield, okay.
I do know that he came to the colonies in 1698 as a young boy, and I just wanted to come over here and find some more information as to why.
Yeah.
Why did he leave, and where did he live here, and anything else I can find out?
Well, best place to start is some computer indexes that we have of Cheshire records.
Okay.
So we can start with one of those, if you like.
Sure.
And got this here. So
Cheshire Parish Register Project.
That's right. We want his baptism, his christening record. So we start with that one.
To baptism.
Put the surname in there.
Fingers crossed. Hold your breath. 4 records found. Georgius.
Georgius, Latin for George.
Okay, so where do we go next?
I will go and get a christening record and we'll see if there's any more information in there.
Wonderful. Georgius, Georgius. It's amazing how you can just find somebody.
Well, I have good news. We've found George's baptism record, and there's a few more things besides.
Okay.
Would you like to have a look?
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
Okay. Now, this is the original volume from 1688.
Yeah.
And this has George's christening entry in it. Because you're wearing nail polish, we just ask if you put some gloves on.
No problem. Okay. Georgius Thomas Brassfield de
Mac. George, son of Thomas Brassfield of Macclesfield.
So has his father's name Thomas?
His father was Thomas, yeah.
All right. So this is the 17th of June.
Yes.
That's when he was born.
That's when he was christened.
Okay, two
sometime-
things I want to know.
3 months.
When was he born and what's his mother's name?
Normally they're christened a short time after they were born.
A week?
So it could be a week, a couple of months, but not usually more than 2 or 3 months. But we might be able to help with the mother's name.
Okay.
There is a marriage record for Thomas Brassfield some years before this. So
Okay.
I'll just move that out of your way.
1688.
1688.
Now that's not paper. What is that?
This is a form of parchment they were using at the time. Yeah. You can see it's very delicate, so we'll open it quite carefully.
Oh, you just look like it's going to crackle like a dry leaf.
So it starts with christenings, and you have burials, and you have marriages here.
Weddings, John, Thomas. Wow, that's a little bitty print. That right there, Thomas. Oh, that is Brassfield. I couldn't read that. Thomas Brassfield, Abigail. So now we know the mom and dad. We know George, when he was born.
Yeah.
And I know when he left to go to the colonies.
Yeah.
I just don't know why he left.
Right.
Is there a death record of mom and dad?
Yes.
That could help answer my question.
Now, this is a register from 1720, and a list of people buried at Macclesfield.
Thomas Brassfield. That means June the 30th of 1720, he died.
That's the date he was buried, so he died
Buried.
a day or two before then.
Okay.
No longer than that.
His father died when he was already in America. It still doesn't answer my question. Why did he leave? Why a 9 or 10-year-old kid was put on that boat?
No.
So what about his mother? Had she already passed?
This is another Macclesfield St. Michael register,
1696.
1696.
Abigail. Oh, you can barely see that. Wife of Thomas Brassfield. So 1696, when young George's mother passed away,
That's right.
and he left in 98 to go to
Yes.
the colonies.
That's right.
But his father was still around.
Until 1720, yes.
His father sent his son away to the Americas at 9 years old, 10 years old?
That's how it seems.
Why? Why did they do things like that back then? Didn't he have money to take care of him?
So I think to answer that question, you'll need to go to Macclesfield and find out a bit more there.
I mean, I couldn't even send Shelby to summer camp. Old Thomas. All right, before I get mad at him, I got to find out some more facts before I start drawing too many early conclusions. Thank you for showing me these documents.
You're welcome.
Great to know.
I got a little heated up when I found out that George's mother passed away, and then 2 years later, he's off to America on a little bitty boat. Why would a father do that?
So I'm heading 40 miles east to Macclesfield to the church where my 6 times great-grandfather George was christened and his parents were buried. Wow. To find out why George was sent overseas, I'm meeting with historian James Horn, who has been looking into the Brassfield family. Very nice to meet you. I've come here to Macclesfield to try to find out why my 6-time great-grandfather left at 10 years old to go to the colonies while his father was still alive. Can you shed any light on him becoming an indentured servant?
Well, I think it's quite likely that because his mother had died, that his father Thomas would have had a pretty hard time. And it was uncommon at this time for men to look after the children anyway. He certainly couldn't afford to send George to school or university. Apprenticeships were expensive, so there weren't many good options for him. But there was one, and the one he took was to indenture young George. That might offer him a chance of a better future whereas maybe if he'd stayed in Macclesfield, he really wouldn't have had much of a future ahead of him. Do we know what happened to George in the colonies?
He had purchased 300 acres of land, and it cost him 1,500 pounds of tobacco.
That's really amazing.
Yes.
Because so few indentured servants made it into being landowners and owning their own plantations, and there wouldn't have been any chance he would ever have owned land in England, and certainly not 300 acres. That was a big estate here in England, so he entered the realm of a propertied landowner only in America.
Great. Good for him.
And about 150 years after George sets up his own plantation, there's hundreds of Brassfields living in America, and as far as we know, they're all descended from young George.
So we have a lot to thank Thomas for sending his son over.
I think you do in particular.
I definitely do. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be here.
Absolutely.
Now, there's one thing else I'd like to do. I'd like to see where my 7-time great-grandmother and grandfather, Thomas and Abigail, are buried.
If you'd like to come outside.
Oh, please show me.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll lead the way.
This is interesting. What are these?
These are headstones, and they've been laid out flat. This is the graveyard. Some were here when Thomas and Abigail and young George were here.
Wow.
The whole community over generations and generations are buried here beneath us.
And where was Thomas buried?
Maybe over there in this grassy patch, because that's where the poorer people would have been buried, and maybe with just a simple wooden cross as a marker, or maybe no marker at all. But that's probably where they are. I'll leave you now and say goodbye.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah,
appreciate
you're
it very
welcome.
much.
Yeah. Bye now.
Wow. I just can't imagine losing your wife, sending your child off to a country and a place you never know what's going to happen. You'll never see him again. What a strong man Thomas was to do that. Thank you, Thomas, wherever you are. That takes guts to send your child off, never see him again. I ask for forgiveness for being mad at you, Thomas. I'm not mad at you anymore. I get a good feeling here, like I'm loved and protected. I'll come back.
Reba McEntire's journey into her mother's ancestry has come full circle, back to the family ranch in Stringtown, Oklahoma.
This journey has been one of the highlights of my life because it told me so much about my life and who I am, where I came from, the kind of people I came from. Strong people, survivors. My 6 times great-grandfather, George, was put on that little bitty ship, and then to see that that was George's only hope of really getting anywhere in life. And his dad saying, get on this boat and go make a life of your own, be somebody. Hello. I am really good. And I'll live my dreams and my life through you, like my mama said for me when I was going to Nashville. So a huge similarity. When we left Mississippi, we went to North Carolina, and that's where I learned about George Brassfield, my 4 times great-grandfather. 4 times back, that's how we got to.
That's unbelievable.
And what I did find out was that he was a very prominent man, but he also had 10 slaves.
Oh, really?
Then I found out that my 6-time great-grandfather was an indentured servant. It was pretty much like slavery, except there was
really
kind of
was.
a light at the end of the tunnel for an indentured servant. He was put on a ship and sent away.
Yeah.
Then I remembered the slaves.
Yeah.
They were torn apart from their family also.
Oh, that was terrible.
Horrible.
Terrible.
Ignorance, I always say, is not knowing. Being afraid is not knowing. Scary is the unknown. And when you know, and when you're enlightened and educated and you know what's happened, you do understand a little bit more. And in my case, I understood a lot more. We got a lot to learn. We have a lot to learn from our history.
We do. We really do.
Knowledge is pretty special to have.